Hi, this is Mel. I hope you're doing awesome. Today I'm going to do another story. The story is written by me and read by me. So the title of the story is The Night Train. After the high school finished, Sarah's uncle came to get her to visit New Delhi. Sarah was very excited to visit and meet her cousins Rani and Raja both. And she didn't see them for a long time, but they were all same age and everyone was busy with their life and high school. Rani and Raja were brothers and sisters, and they were twins. So, uh, so they were both Sarah's cousin from her dad's side. And so the night Sarah went to New Delhi, they took the night train. They got up in the night train and they found a really good seat, and it was sort of like a room, a booth. And in this booth, there were 2 seats at the bottom and 2 at the top. And Sarah was hoping, like, oh, I hope someone nice comes so I have some companionship for the night and we can talk and chat. And so Sarah was sitting looking out the window, and this was around 6 p.m. Light was still out there, so she was looking, and then she saw a very handsome looking gentleman walked into the room, and there was another lady, little elderly ladies, like almost like Sarah's uncle, someone in her 50s. And this boy was very young, probably 24, and Sarah was 18 at the time, so she just finished high school. So at first she was very shy, and the boy was very shy too. So they sat down and they started talking with Sarah's uncle. And so the boy actually was traveling to New Delhi, and then they were going to go to Bangalore because that's where Ashok's dad worked, and also at Ashok had few job interviews there after his graduation. So basically Sarah's uncle was doing all the talking, and Ashok's mother Lalita was doing all the talking, and Ashok and Sarah was just sitting and looking outside. Sarah was sitting one side of the window looking outside, and Ashok was sitting right across from her, another side of the window and looking outside. And in between, they are giving each other a glance and maybe a slight smile, but not much. Just he asked her name, Sarah's name, and he introduced himself, told his name, and then just few chat here and there where they're going. And after this, Sarah's uncle, Mr. Ram, and Ashok's mother, Lalita, they were talking throughout the whole trip. Then after that, Sarah's uncle got busy with reading his newspaper, so he went up on the there was a bed above, like a bunk bed, so he went there to read newspaper. And Sarah was just sitting looking outside, and then soon the food came, so everybody sat down and then they enjoyed the food, and then it was time to sleep. So Sarah's uncle, after he came down to eat the food, after the food, he sat down and did little bit chatting with Asok's mother. But then Asok's mother went, after the dinner, she went to do her chanting of prayers, and while she was chanting, she kind of dozing off, falling asleep. And Sarah's uncle was reading his paper and also dozing and falling asleep. And this is getting late night, and before closing the kitchen, the cook comes and takes any kind of order, whether it's milk or anybody wanted any dessert. So Asok and Sarah, they ordered tea, and they asked the uncle and auntie, Asok's mom and Sarah's uncle, but these grown-ups, they refused to drink tea because they wanted to get good night's sleep. So they started dozing off. So Sarah and Asok enjoyed this wonderful tea. After that, when the grown-ups were dozing off, sleeping, they put the curtain for the room. There were like rooms with small curtains to cover for privacy. And then Sarah and Asok was sitting, and there was nothing much to see outside. All they could see is their own sad outside. So they were doing a little bit of talking, not too much. And Sarah took out a book to read, and Asok had a book to read too. And they were reading and glancing at each other. And one thing led to another, and Asok touched Sarah's hand and put a piece of paper. And this paper, Sarah opened and took a glance, and this had his phone number. So then they fall asleep before they know. Then uncle and auntie, when they woke up, they put them upstairs on the bunk bed, and uncle and auntie slept down on the down bed because they couldn't get up to sleep up there, and they decided to give the children the bunk bed. So Asok in one side and Sarah slept on another side and slept the whole night in between. They glanced at each other. They kind of liked each other. After this morning, New Delhi came, so they woke up and quickly packed their things. And while packing and rushing, Sarah didn't remember where she put the little piece of paper with Asok's number. And then they said goodbye to each other, and Asok went to get another train to go to Bangalore. And Sarah and her uncle, they took a taxi to go home. When they came home, they got so busy with their cousin, Rani and Raja. And so they were very excited to see them after so many years, and they enjoyed the whole 2 weeks. 2 weeks gone by, and still Sarah couldn't find the paper where she lost. And she told Rani about it, that she met a wonderful person and she liked him a lot, but seems like he gave her a paper and she lost it. So then Rani said, well, maybe he wasn't meant for you. And then after that, when Sarah went back home, Sarah's uncle went to, but he took her home after 2 weeks, so went to drop her. And then Sarah got into a good college, and she studied 4 years. And same thing happened with Rani and Raja. They went to good colleges, they studied. And about 4 or 5 years later, Sarah got a job. And then Rani was getting married. So Sarah was so excited. She came with her family to Rani's wedding, and she was so excited. She got the best dress, and she was going to be bridesmaid. And she was just extremely excited because she was looking for Rani's wedding for all her life. Everything was perfect, and Rani was very excited because the groom is very handsome and has a good job. So As the wedding day came, everybody all dressed up, and Sarah looked very pretty, and obviously Rani looked amazing in her beautiful wedding dress. And then the groom came, and as with Indian wedding, the groom wears a long hat and a lot of jewelry and clothes. Inside those, Sarah didn't see that much how the groom looked like, but she obviously took a glance and realized he was very handsome, just like Rani explained. Wedding was done. After that, there was a ceremony for bride and groom to sit together in a room, and there were other people supposed to sleep in between them so they do not sleep with each other for that night, the night they get married, and the night after that. And after that night, they have their night to sleep together, and they make a flower bed, and it's a beautiful ceremony for the first time for the bride and groom to sleep together. And according to the Indian culture, they're supposed to be virgins, so that's the first night for their life. So the world is different now, but way years back it was supposed to be the first night. That's where bride and groom experience what's real first night is, and everything was kept secret for this first night. So it had a different meaning, different purpose, but now everything is different in the world. So then, after the groom took off his hat and everything to lay down, and Sarah was very excited. So she stood in the middle, and as soon as he took off his hat and everything, and he sat next to her, and they both were shocked beyond their belief. Sarah was so shocked that this is Ashok, who she knew in the train, and they fell in love, and he gave her the number. And Ashok was so shocked that Sarah is the cousin of Rani, who he married just now. So Sarah was supposed to sleep in between, but this night nobody sleeps. Everybody talks, sings, because they're supposed to stay up. And then morning time, people do fall asleep. So as Sarah had to lay in between Rani and Ashok, and there were tons of other relatives, and this the night where they sing and perform all those things. So Sarah did some singing, and Rani did some singing, and Ashok did some singing. And after that, as they're sitting, and then the room was full of people, so they couldn't say anything. And after all this thing over, then early morning, Sarah went to use the restroom. She used the restroom, and she came down. Restroom was way far, the end of the patio, so they had to go a little distance. So Ashok came there early morning to use the restroom, and he saw Sarah, and he said that I tried to look for you for last 4 years, thousands of times, but I couldn't find, and why you didn't call me, I gave you the phone number. Then Sarah said, I tried to look for your phone number for thousands of times over the last 4 or 5 years, but I couldn't find. That's the day when you gave it to me, I seemed to misplace the paper. And then he said to her that I really loved you, and I still do love you. And then Sarah said, I really loved you, but now you are my cousin's husband, and you should stay that way, because this wasn't meant for us, and God meant it to be for you to be my cousin's husband, and this would be a great sin for us to even talk like this matter. So this subject, this chapter is closed, and we will stay as friends forever, but we will not discuss this ever again with anyone, and you should not talk about this to Rani or ever mention this to her, or I should not talk about it ever too, because this will bring just unhappiness in the family. So we will live with in a relationship with no name, just friends, just plain friends, no other name. And then she went inside, and after that the bride and groom left for Ashok's home, and Sarah went there too because she was bridesmaid. And then after that, one night they stay separate, and the next night was the first night. Sarah decorated the bed so beautifully for Rani with most beautiful fragrance, roses and Rajnigandha flowers, and she decorated Rani so beautifully. So after the first night, before it started, Sarah was looking very pretty, and she went to the garden. They used to have a big, huge basil plant, so they always went and did prayers to the basil plant. So Sarah went to do her praying, and that time Ashok went there to do his praying, and then he said to Sarah, "You're looking very, very beautiful, even more beautiful than the day I saw you in the train." Then Rani said that no, who's looking beautiful is Sarah said, no, who is looking beautiful is Rani, because tonight is her night and your night. And I also mentioned to you that never to bring up this again, because this will be kind of, when I requested, if you bring it up, this will be kind of insulting me. So I'll never be able to come visit my cousin and my best friend Rani, because you'll always bring up the subject. Because this the incident in the nighttime train ended at that day when we left the train. When the morning came, there was the incident of that night, because the universe or the God, whoever gave us the night to treasure, to remember. But then after that we went on our separate path. I did my education, and my cousin, my best friend, getting married, but it happens to be with you, and I knew you. But that doesn't mean we're going to bring this again and again and ruin so many lives. So we need to end it here. So promise me that you'll never talk about this, bring on this, just act like we don't know each other and this is the first time we saw each other, and you are just my cousins, my best friend's husband. That's all to me. And then she did the prayer to Lord Tulsi and went to bless her cousin Rani. And then Ashok came to the room, and she left both of them into the room, and she said, "This is your first night, make it memorable, enjoy it." And then she went, and before she leaving, she told Ashok that love always does not mean just winning or getting someone. Love means sacrifice. So when we sacrifice, that is the true love. So she sacrificed, Sarah sacrificed Ashok's love to her cousin Rani. But she didn't know that Rani is going to marry him, and Rani didn't know who was Ashok to begin with. It was an arranged marriage. So after that, Sarah went home and she got busy with her work and just lived her life, and Rani and Ashok lived their life happily. Sarah didn't visit it that much to Rani, kept her distance because she didn't want to bring back old memories. But she knew that she needed Rani to be happy and have a destroy that. So this is a story about the night train, and I hope you like it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I'll see you with many more. Bye bye. Good night. Sweet dreams.